What's going down, everybody? It's your boy, That Guy Mile High, tuning back in for another reaction. And this time we got top 10 unsettling night watch stories that will keep you up at night. All right, y'all ready? All right, because I ain't going to keep talking. Let's go.
Welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. Here are the top 10 unsettling night watch stories that will keep you up tonight. Yeah, you thought you couldn't sleep before? You watch this video. Mistake number 1. Let's do it. Kicking off the list at number 10. Mirror, mirror. I don't look in mirrors anymore. Growing up, I watched enough horror films. I'm good. I learned some lessons. Now I wash my hands and I do this. I peace out. But that's the fastest walk I'll be done soon. I'm like 1 second in, I'm like, yee. Here's another example of why mirrors terrify me. This overnight watch story comes from Reddit user Jam in Madrid. They say, I was working the night shift on a university campus. It was my first time working the Christmas break. Generally, most students go home unless they have permission to stay. I was performing lockup that night, and after I finished my buildings, they wanted me to patrol the upper floors of the dorms to look for signs of water leaks in the hallways. The dorms are supposed to be mostly empty, so I'm not expecting to see anyone. I get to the first dorm and ride to the elevator to the top floor, and the elevator opens into the common area. Little do I know, on the other side of the elevator are mirrors on the wall. So I step off the elevator, either looking straight ahead or at my phone, and I notice something moving out of the corner of my eye. So I turn my head to look, and I yell out, Jesus Christ! And it took me a second to register that it was me in a mirror. Yeah, that's the first one. Not bad, honestly. I had you at first, you're like, ooh, that was sweaty. It gets worse. Number 9, turn the lights on. Don't you dare. Keep them off. You got it for this list. This overnight tale comes from Arc G. This was a few years ago. I worked overnight security at a hotel for a year here in Scottsdale. I work at a higher-end hotel with 16 private homes, 8 of which are rental homes that we manage. All 8 have to be checked and secured every shift. Now, these rental homes are luxury homes, the cheapest of which is roughly $1.2 million. So large, a lot of pointless floor-to-ceiling windows, pools, huge patios, all the nonsense, you name it. Let me set the scene for you. It's 1 a.m. I'm approximately a quarter mile from the main property. We have 4 employees there for a night shift. I'm the only one with keys to the homes. On top of that, I'm one of the 4 employees, period, who have keys to the homes. I check our largest house, which is severely outdated, pink marble everywhere, funny smell, elephant furniture, very ugly. I go to the front door, check the 19 exterior doors from the inside, and on my way out, I notice that the entryway light is on, and a sticky note is on the door. On it, it says, you should really turn the lights on. And I never went back in that house. Yeah, rightfully so. I would never go back into that town, let alone house. That's very brave. Thank you for sharing. Number 8, Chuck E. Cheese. If you play Five Nights at Freddy's, this one will hit close to home. This one, I didn't enjoy this one. This one comes from Odd Tension 2133 from 2 years ago. When I was 16, I had a job as a janitor at Chuck E. Cheese, and I would usually work at night cleaning up messes on the floor and cleaning tables for the next day. So one night, I was just doing my usual business and getting ready to lock up the place, and I heard a loud bang coming from one of the rooms. Now, I was spooked out because there were only 2 of us working that night cleaning, and my partner Noah was next to me, also questioning where the sound came from. Oh, it's so creepy. We kept doing our duties until about 10 to 15 minutes later when we heard scratching coming from the exact same room. Noah and I were freaked out at this point. We were basically done with cleaning and vacuuming, and we sprinted out the front door. The next day, it turns out that the vents were being twitchy, but the loud bang remained unknown. These events kept happening for 3 days, and no one ever gave me any clues as to why. That's, I don't know, that whole animatronic thing.
I'd have quit.
Number 7, a close call. This next one hits a little too close to home, I'll say that. This one comes from Redcoat Pilot. They say, I grew up in northwestern Ontario. In the last couple of years of high school, I worked night watchman on weekends at one of the gold mines. Also, side note, what a job. Yeah, imagine having that in high school. You work at a gold mine. I worked at a retirement home. This guy's working at a gold mine. Okay. Towards the end of one of my rounds, in the wee hours, I walked past one of the bunkhouses. 20 feet past the bunk, the gatekeeper, who could see me from afar, calls on the radio and tells me to look behind. And I look, and there's a big black bear, literally 5 feet from where I was just walking. Top comment was, did you die? I had to check up.
Did
no,
you die?
They survived. Number 6,
man,
military
that
blimp. Here we go. Wouldn't be a Killer McWaters list if we didn't have aliens somewhere in here. Put on those tinfoil hats, folks. This one comes from an anonymous Reddit user, a former Reddit user, actually, so it's a good sign. They say, one night I was working in Porter Ranch, California. It was an outside job. It was around 3 a.m., and I looked up to my left, and there was what I can only describe as a giant cigar-shaped black blimp in the sky. It was so huge, and it looked so close. My heart dropped, and I just stared in awe. I was then convinced I just observed aliens. Yeah, rightfully so. I would tell the story to my friends and family for years, and they would always laugh. Sometime later, I came across an article that showed something like what I saw. Apparently, it was a military blimp. But can you know for sure? That's why I'm here. I'm here to tell you, yeah, but maybe not. Still sleep in fear.
I mean,
Number
aliens
5,
is still
stand and stare.
Facts,
This comes from
but
Reddit user
that looked like a
Overlord
blip.
Brandon.
I mean,
Not a
what you
night guard,
described,
but
so-
I was a janitor for a little bit a while ago in a building that was only accessible by a key fob. You'd need only one to get in the front door, and you'd have to use it again to enter the offices. The shift was from 4 p.m. to midnight, and if I finished early, I got to leave while still being paid until midnight. Nice. Each night I'd hang out with my coworkers in the office until 5 p.m., then we'd all head out to our buildings. I'd empty all the trash bins first, vacuum and mop where I needed, take care of any scheduled cleanings like steam cleaning the curtains, all that stuff, and I hit the bathrooms last since everyone would normally be out of the buildings at that time. Most nights I was finished between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. There was a night when I was finishing up, and all I had to do was clean the bathrooms. I did the women's room without any issues, and then I headed into the men's room. When I went in, the lights turned on because of that sensor, and there was some man I had never seen before just standing in the middle of the bathroom. I have no idea who he was or how long he was in there, but he had to have stood there long enough for the lights to go off and then remain motionless so they wouldn't turn back on. When I saw him, I just turned around and left for the night. Yeah, that's really scary. He had to stand still that entire time. That gave me chills. It gave me chills. It only gets worse. Here we go. We're almost there. Number 4, breaking and entering. This next one comes from a user named Rizal. So my colleague was guarding this quite big complex in which the security system was not working. So they had 2 guards stationed at 2 different locations in this building. My colleague gets a call on the radio from the other night guard that he's heard someone trying to break in. So my colleague rushes over there as fast as he can. Now this building was quite the maze and required a number of keys in order to get from where he was to where the other guard was. And he finds out that he's been given the wrong set of keys at this moment. What a horrible time to find out. So for him to get to where the break-in's happening, he now has to go around the outside of the building. This took some extra time, of course, and when he arrived, he found the other guard knocked down. They were losing blood at this point. It wasn't looking great. He had tried to stop the 3 guys doing the break-in by himself and got rewarded with a hard pipe hit to his head. Yeah, not a great night. This job is extremely tough. I couldn't imagine. My colleague pressed his SRT, the panic alarm, and tried to tend to his friend's wound. It took about 5 minutes for the police and EMT to get there, but he said it felt like it took hours, I bet, since he was pretty sure his colleague was going to die at that point. He ended up in a coma for 5 days and also lost some of his eyesight in his left eye, but other than that, he recovered quite well. No one got caught since the attackers hit him and then ran. My colleague still works as the night guard, but the other guy that got attacked had a few months to recover and now works as an EMT instead. Isn't that wild? Something terrible that happens and then pass end up doing this and people go into nice things. Now he's helping other people. How lovely is that? Thank you for sharing. Number 3, headphones. Oh, this next story. I'm never wearing headphones while cleaning ever again. That's it. No more dancing with brooms. This comes from the user Mother of Krakens 95. I did the same type of job, but for a bank after hours. I was supposed to be the only person in the building while I was there for the most part, except for just a few minutes at the very beginning. Well, I was there one night, just finishing up, about to start vacuuming the most unused upstairs area in front of the bathrooms. I unraveled the cord and turned around the corner to go plug my vacuum in, and there was somebody standing in the dark, dead still, pointing a weapon at me. I peed a little. I'm not going to lie. I would too. I'm not going to lie as well. But it turns out while vacuuming downstairs, I must have tripped one of the alarms around the teller area, and the security company employed by the bank sent out a guard. Apparently he called for anyone who might be in the building, but I had my headphones on and I didn't hear him. But he could see a shadow moving upstairs, and when he came near me, he heard a weird sound of the vacuum cord hitting the ground as I was unraveling it, and then he drew his taser as he snuck down the darker hallway. This is insane. I whipped around the corner. I thought he was a robber. He thought I was a robber, and we both scared the living out of each other. That's really scary, but I'm glad no one ended up getting hurt. Number 2, creepy coyote. From Redditor Narbutta, great name. I used to work security for a ski resort. I was a swing shift, 4 p.m. to midnight. After every shift, I had about a 20-minute walk down a dark mountain road through the woods to reach my bus stop. Brave, so brave. Also, there were no streetlights. Even more brave. After a week or so, I started getting stalked by a pack of coyotes. One coyote isn't terribly impressive, like an ugly, medium-sized dog. 2 coyotes aren't super intimidating either, but 3 or more is a different story. Yeah, I'd say. Once it's a proper pack, they get bold. The first couple of nights, it was just 1 or 2. I could see their eyes shine around 40 to 50 yards in the woods, not bad. They check me out and then they run off. After a week or 2, more started showing up, 4 or 5 at a time. Once, I even counted 8. The thing is, once there were 3 or more, they didn't run off. They'd follow me from the tree line. Every once in a while, they'd cross the street in front or behind me. They also stopped keeping their distance. They'd come as close as 20 feet or less. Seeing 8 pairs of glowing eyes is creepy, but the noises they make, I carried bear mace at the ready during my walks to the bus stop for the whole season. Yeah, I wouldn't even go. I would quit, so Kudos,
Yeah,
my
I
friend.
cannot
Thanks for
walk
sharing.
in that
Number
far,
one, can't you hear me
especially
knocking?
being
Last one of the day,
stopped by some
folks.
goddamn
Let's do
cab.
this. You're so brave. Keep those lights off. You're almost there. Coming from user Entourage91. They say, not a guard, but I was alone at my grandfather's home when he was in the ICU. As I fell asleep at 1 a.m., I heard the doorbell ring. I go out to open the door expecting my relatives, but there's no one there. Confused, I get back into bed and try falling asleep. It's 3 a.m. now, and I hear the doorbell ring frantically again. This time, long rings, like someone held their finger on the doorbell. I'm scared this time. I jumped out of bed. I look through the window to see if there's someone at the door. I don't see anyone. Scared as hell, I get back into bed, waiting for the ringing to just stop, and finally it stopped ringing after 15 minutes. I was totally convinced that my grandfather had passed away, and that was his soul trying to get into his home. I fell asleep around 6 a.m. finally after the sun came up, and the next day I told my experience to my dad. He checked the doorbell's exposed wire box, and then he came out laughing. Yeah, there was a gecko trapped in the wires. Whenever it brought two wires together, the doorbell rang. Guy was doing science experiments in the little tech box. P.S. My grandfather came back home healthy, but did not ring the doorbell. It was his house. He had the keys. It wasn't a gecko trying to hot wire the door open. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing. We had to end on a nice little happy note. You know, it was creepy, but then it brought us back in. That's how we do it. I've been your host, Taylor McWaters, and we'll see you next time at Most Amazing Top 10 for some more unsettling night watch stories. Peace out.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that wasn't that bad. That wasn't that bad. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? I wasn't that bad. That wasn't that bad. Anyways, man, y'all let me know what y'all thought about that down in the comments below, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.